I'm Emma Vosti and this is See Opportunity, a business series proudly presented by the City of Stonington, where each week we check in with the masterminds behind some of Australia's brightest brands. We're back with another instalment of See Opportunity, a business series proudly presented by the City of Stonington. And we're thrilled that you can join us virtually. I wish I could give you a big hug, but of course, we're all practicing self-distancing and we're staying home where we can. So we appreciate that. We want to thank you. I also want to encourage you, if you're a local business, stonington.vic.gov.au/business. There are some incredible refunds and opportunities available for you right now. So Stonington wants to support you, so you can head there if you want to find out more about that. Well, the City of Stonington is renowned for having some of the best eateries in Melbourne, in Australia, and I'd go as far as saying in the world. And Mr. Miyagi is what I would describe as elite. The best Japanese dining I've experienced, and hospitality genius and director of Mr. Miyagi, Kristian joins me. I'm so excited. I'm giving you a virtual high five from afar because of course we're practicing social distancing. But Kristian, my first question, and I know it's probably one you get asked a lot, who is Mr. Miyagi? Who is Mr. M? And who came up with that kind of persona as such? Because more than just a restaurant, you've created this whole kind of brand.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's not easily answerable in one sentence, but yeah, he's a character that we created around the restaurant when we opened it 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And we sort of wanted to give a character to what we did, and he was this wise sort of Confucius type Japanese man, and who sort of knew everything, and he was sort of like your grandpa in character form, you know. And yeah, he's evolved over 7 years, and he's been anything from clever to silly to hilarious. But he's sort of the wise know-all of the restaurant.
He was onto something, because in 2013, as you said, you guys opened up Mr. Miyagi and you picked Chapel Street.
Yeah.
Obviously in Stonington. Why did you pick that location in Chapel Street? Because it served you very well and it's seen the business grow, and it's been really successful.
I wish there was a glamorous answer to that, but at the time it seemed like the Windsor end of Chapel Street was lacking in restaurants, or sort of modern style restaurants. Mm-hmm. And it looked like a good place to put a restaurant. There's nothing, it wasn't too thought through, other than, it could work down here. You know, we'll put something together. There's people around.
Yeah.
And the right sort of people that might be interested in this, and there's no Japanese offering up here, and maybe it'll work for us.
Who would have thought what was to follow is now that's kind
Not
of
me.
One of the hubs of where you go to get food. And I've been many times, and you put your name down there and you kind of darting in across the road, and now it's a central hub for some of the best restaurants in Melbourne. What an honour to be a part of that.
So it's great, and the more great restaurants that come into that area, the better it is for everyone. I get excited when someone else comes and does something great, because it just helps build the area. And that end of Chapel Street has become a really a dining focused area. It's great.
You guys do a lot of things differently, especially in the hospitality industry. Has kind of creating that persona of Mr. Miyagi, how has that allowed you to communicate with your customers differently than perhaps other food outlets?
Yeah, I guess we hide behind a character sometimes with the messages that we push, and maybe that gives us a little layer of protection. We're very much all about Mr. Miyagi, not about the individual people behind Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
We have a team focus. We don't celebrate externally individual people, because it takes such a big team to put Mr. Miyagi together. So the culmination of all of these amazing people that we have sort of unites into one voice. It's good.
Why do you think people wait in line for 4 hours to eat your food? You've got to thank your customers for doing that, right?
It's amazing.
That's pretty remarkable.
It's amazing. I think when my business partner Andy and I started it, we had not a huge wealth of hospitality knowledge, and I think that helped us a lot because there was no right way to do things. We didn't serve from the left or serve from the right or do any of that stuff that is so important to some hospitality people. I couldn't care less about that stuff as a diner. So I thought, why would we need to practice it when we do things? So we pushed it a little bit differently, and we focused probably more on the experience and having a fun night out rather than specifically the food or specifically the wine list. Or our prime objective was to make the place really fun and you want to go and hang out there. And then it also so happened that we had this incredible chefs and they put together this awesome food, and the combination just all has sort of worked. But yeah, I think it's based around the experience. People wait because they get to come and have an experience and a great night rather than coming just to have a meal. And I hate when people say they're going to go have a meal, because that's not what we're about. We try to be a bit more than that.
And you've evolved into so many different offerings now, and obviously we'll get to the current climate soon, but I think it's still really important, one, to encourage people to follow their dreams and understand, two, marketing and all those other things that go into creating an experience, serving great food. And has it been really clear how your business has had to evolve? Because it started with Mr. Miyagi, now there's Mr. M's Side Girl, the Yuki's Snack Bar, and Mr. Fancy Pants.
Yeah.
Great names, just saying. Has that been natural for you guys to evolve in that direction? Has that been listening to feedback from customers, your kind of dreams of where you saw the business going? How is that?
We listen to everything that anyone ever says to us about what we do, and it's really important. It's part of our culture that there's no one, you can never get frustrated with feedback, as ridiculous as it is. Someone might have the silliest bit of feedback, but you've got to take it on board. And we have always pride ourselves on taking that information on board, and opportunities come up and we say, will that work, will that not work? And you've got to ask the customers and ask the locals and see what people think about it. And one of the biggest challenges we had at the start is we created this demand, but we had nowhere for anyone to wait. And so someone would come and we'd say, your table's going to be half an hour, or your table's going to be 45 minutes, and we'll call you when it's ready. And they said, well, where do we go now?
Yeah.
We'd say, I don't know, out the door somewhere. We'll call you in 45 minutes. So we had this demand for just a waiting area, and which is where Yuki's Snack Bar came around, and it was a contrasting color combo, and it was all light and bright, and it was based around another character, Yuki, who was, someone represented something completely differently than what Mr. M did, but it gave us a place for someone to hang out before they had dinner. And then we opened the private dining room upstairs because we had demand for it. People were asking to hire out certain areas, and it's been an evolution, but it evolves every day. It evolves. We change things every single day, and it never gets stale because of that.
Where do you get the inspiration from to change? Because obviously a lot of the time the things I see you guys doing, I haven't necessarily seen other restaurants do before. Do you look globally? Where do you look to evolve? Or do you guys just go, stuff it, we're just gonna try this? Are you fearful of when you're trying things that they have to work, or do you just kind of see how things go and test out the market?
Most of the time they start as stupid gags in the office. And they genuinely start as a silly idea that someone says, and then someone else will think about it for a while and go, hang on a minute, maybe we could do a version of that. Or
yeah.
We've certainly done that when it comes to our menu. There's nothing that we're afraid to put on our menu. Our menu started as a traditional sort of Japanese menu that lent towards a bit of fusion stuff, and now you'll find beef rendangs on our menu sometimes, things that are completely from a different style of cuisine.
Yeah.
We've done pizzas that we've played around with sort of that concept. We've done all sorts of different things that we try, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But our number one selling dish is our salmon nori taco, which is
so good.
But it's a taco. And someone says, at what point have we ever thought about Japanese food in tacos? But I don't know, we gave it a go, and now it's been this huge success for us. And just try things.
Obviously that attitude served you well. Originally we were supposed to meet in a packed house event setting, and we've obviously responded and changed things up, and now we're bringing these events to people virtually. Hospitality, it's a different ball game, and we've seen the industry being affected quite heavily with COVID-19 and all the restrictions that were changing day by day. How did you guys respond to that, and what were some of your initial, was there panic, which would be fair if there was? What was your strategy?
I mean, initially it was a decision of, do we try some other things or do we just shut and wait it out? And this is prior to any government stimulus being announced or any sort of help being in sight, and just unknown. But we had a chat about it in the office, and we decided to move to a cook at home style menu. And at the time, I don't think anyone else had really started doing that yet. And we went, oh, let's give it a crack. So in about a day, we went out and we sourced packaging and labeling and worked out how to do it all. And yeah, we started selling this stuff, and that went okay. And then within 3 days of us launching that, then restaurants became completely unable to open and only run as takeaway. So that changed everything. By the time we just started getting that cook at home stuff up and running, everything had changed. So then we moved to a takeaway model, and that's a big move for us, because we go from being this beautiful restaurant that I'm so proud of how beautiful your experience is, to turning into a fast food place. And all of a sudden your orders are on a limit and everything's got to go out at the same time, and you've got to repackage all your items and everything's got to look nice, and the customer still has to have a fantastic experience, even though you can't influence it by being there and making sure they're having a good time. So yeah, we really had to evolve into a fast food restaurant, and we used a lot of technology, and there's been a lot that's come out of it that we'll use once we go back to normal. We've eliminated paper and printers in the kitchen, and it's a really weird, eerie feeling in there, because docket machines are usually all going with orders. And
they're usually lining up.
Yeah, and there's lines and chefs just yelling, and now it's quiet even when we're busy. So yeah, there's just been a lot of change.
What's been the response from the diehard Mr. Miyagi fans and regulars? What's been the response?
We've had the local community have been incredible. There's been so much support from them, and we'll just be forever thankful for the really horrible times where there was so much unknown. Everyone rallied around us, and not just us, the other local restaurants as well. We saw it all. We saw so much social media love, and people going out and purchasing. People would come into our restaurant and they would buy this, and then they'd say, oh, okay, yeah, we're actually going across the road to Freddy's to go and buy this, and then we're going across the road to this place, and it was just nice. There was a really good community feel. So yeah, we've had a great response from it, and yeah, but also the pressure's on for us to keep improving, because someone will still pay money for a product, and if they're not happy with it, or it's not packaged right, or it gets soggy in the bag, or there's an issue, there's a whole lot of different issues that we have to keep working on to make sure that those people supporting us are still really happy with what they get at the end of the day, so that we keep them on side, I guess.
Social media, you mentioned, it's really important in your brand without COVID-19. How has your use of it perhaps changed during COVID-19 with information changing daily? Are you using it more, less? Has your strategy changed? How's it working?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. I mean, everything in the business has changed a lot in the last 4 weeks. But social media is a big one. We use it as a communication tool so much. And usually our messaging's all very Mr. Miyagi, Mr. M says. We use the character a lot, and we've changed that to be a little bit more. These are the people behind Mr. Miyagi. These are the people that work at Mr. Miyagi. These are the people who are bagging your orders. These are the people who are cooking the food in the fryers. So we're pushing that message a bit more, so that people understand we're not just a brand, or we're a group of really passionate hospitality people who are working really hard to try and keep this train moving.
You're allowing your customer to connect with you as people.
Yeah,
really.
a little bit more. Yeah.
Is that going to stay different? Like you mentioned before about the at-home offering that you have now. I've seen some really cool videos on your Instagram about, making the chicken at home, and what's going to stay different on the other side of this, and what has it taught you, perhaps as a business? The buzzword at the moment is pivot.
Yeah.
You've clearly done that. Everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
What's going to stay different at Mr. Miyagi?
We've been talking about this a lot and thinking about it a lot, and I don't know. I don't know what everything's going to look like in 2 weeks. So there's certainly been a lot of things that we've made more efficient internally, and we've learned how quickly we can take an idea into a product and implement it. Whereas usually we'll and ah about how long we'll and ah about a dish that needs to go on the menu. It might take us 2 weeks to get there. Whereas we've learned we can do it in 2 hours if we need to. So there's been a lot of learnings. We're using a lot more technology in the kitchen, and that's a big help. It hasn't been an expensive change. It's made us so much more efficient, and it's been a little bit of a challenge for people to learn new systems. But once they're in place, they're amazing. So yeah, a few things like that will probably stay.
Is there a particular piece of advice that someone's given you along your career that's really served you whilst running Mr. Miyagi?
Yeah, my dad always said something to me, and it was, it doesn't matter what you do wrong, but it's what you do afterwards that matters. And I live by that because it's so right. You can make mistakes, you can serve a bad product, but if you fix it, it can actually end up being a positive experience. So yeah, I mean, we do that flat out. If there is an issue, we make sure we write it, and so there's no hangover from any sort of bad experience, big or small.
What's been one of the favourite concepts, campaigns, initiatives that the Mr. Miyagi team have done that's like a real highlight for you?
Good question.
You've done a lot of crazy, weird things. They're awesome.
We have.
They taste good. There's got to be a favourite.
We're actually doing something at the moment that's really exciting.
Okay.
And we're taking Mr. Miyagi to different hospitality venues, and we're doing pop-ups for a night just for takeaway.
Okay.
So although it is current, it's pretty exciting for us because it's a weird and wacky idea that we go to a cafe in another suburb and set up our own kitchen for one night. But yeah, it's pretty exciting that we're doing that. We've had such a fantastic response from the first one that sold out in 16 minutes. So
wow,
we're like, oh, this is cool. We've got a funny time where we're very limited with what we can do within our own four walls, but maybe we can venture out and do some other things at some other places whilst this crazy time is happening.
How important is it that the hospitality industry, especially in the city of Stonington, bands together right now? And have you seen that, like behind the scenes kind of camaraderie between different restaurants and cafes and coffee?
I think so. I think now more than ever. But one of the nice things that I see about hospitality is that that's there anyway. There's been a couple of restaurants that have come into the area that haven't had that attitude, and they don't last because the negativity sort of spreads. Someone comes in and says, oh, we're going to blow these other people out of the water, and that's not the right attitude to have. We're all serving the same community, and the more we stick together and help each other out and refer customers to each other, and it creates a nice harmonious area. So that happens anyway, but more than ever, at the moment, given what's going on, there's a lot of love going from business to business, and not necessarily just in the area, just hospitality in general.
Yeah.
We're all in the same boat, and we're all struggling to keep our head above water, and the more help that we can give to each other, the better.
Because it's in everyone's best interest that we see the other side of this. I know while the city of Stonington can't do everything. They're doing a great job with what they can, and you guys have taken advantage of what they're able to offer to businesses right now.
Yeah, so Stonington have offered refunds on some of their things specific to us, like our footpath trading permit, which everything helps. On top of government subsidies and JobKeeper and those things, even anything that we can get that saves us $1 is a huge help. So, yeah, it's good.
Well, we're thinking of you. We're eating your food, and we're thankful that your staff still can, some of them, go to work. But I hope we're seeing you dining at Mr. Miyagi when it is safe to do so again. But for now, where are my tacos? Where's my fried chicken? I agreed to do this interview on one